Well, hello everyone. My name is Professor Tom Berry. I will be your instructor for the course. I'm looking forward to being back in the classroom and meeting you this coming up week. Yeah, this is sociology of deviance, fascinating topic. And kind of the goal of this video is to give you more about the background of the class, talk about the syllabus and lay of the land, kind of get you oriented for the assignment that's due the night before our class meeting, kind of logistical stuff. And then, there'll be a separate lecture kind of going over sociology of deviance kind of stuff. So I guess, with that being said, I'll give you just a little bit of piece of information about sociology of deviance, like its interest, its value, and what you can kind of expect, and then we'll kind of get into the syllabus. So as with anything, any practice, any pattern behavior going on in the world is we study it, we can understand it, and it gives us insight into people, society, community, culture, all kinds of different things. So we think about deviance. We study deviance to study society, less interested from a sociological perspective, less interested in individual pathology, and this will make more sense as we kind of move throughout the course of the term, and more interested in the assigning of meaning of deviance. So you can kind of go to that perspective, like what is deviance? How is it decided? What are some of the things that we have to consider when we're thinking about definitions of deviance? Then all the way up to, well, how do we respond to it? So how do we respond to it either informally through networks, through our peers, all the way to formal institutions? And how are those things being shaped by history, culture, technology, as well as issues of power that are there as well? So, I mean, deviance is fascinating. It's oftentimes different than what people might think when they are taking a deviance class. They think, oh, cool, we're going to go through and study all these deviants, right? All these different subgroups, all these patterns of deviance. That's an approach. There's value in doing that. There's been a critique of that approach. I won't go into bore you with the details, but for a long time in sociology, it was the focus on all these sort of odd things, the real outliers, this sort of idea of sort of about deviance. And then it's kind of moved into a direction, starting in the 70s and 80s, kind of a little bit different direction, where it's still about some of that, trying to understand things like alcohol and drug abuse and dependence, but also moving into a host of other different things as well. So my hope would be to bring my energy, interest, passion for sociology, as well as this particular topic, to you throughout the course of the term. The course is structured in a way, I think, to engage you. The class is structured in general to engage you. Our class meetings are incredibly important and valuable for us to have an opportunity to process information, walk away with thinking about things in a much more eclectic, valuable way. So there's going to be a lot of rich material. Some of the class may challenge some preconceived notions. That's good. That's what education should do. So having said that, let's now talk about the syllabus and walk through some of the mechanics of the class just to get you prepared for the first week. Let's see if I can go. All right, here we go. Here's the syllabus. All right. Basic class information. Here's my office hours. Definitely contact me if you ever have any questions. We can set up a Zoom meeting. You can come by my office during any of those times. I'll be around before or after class. So I'm here to basically to support you. And also, if you ever want to talk about the subject matter in more detail, I'm always up for doing that. It's always a great thing to be able to talk about content area with students. I mean, it's what I live for. All right, so it's contact information. Here's the textbook for the course. We've kind of done different things in the past where we had set readings, kind of moved away from that. This is kind of a combination approach, a little bit of a textbook for a foundation, and then some supplemental information as well. Overall, the book is pretty good. It gets really challenging to find the right textbook for this class and what our program, what we're trying to do in terms of the content and curriculum. I have some critiques of the book, but overall, I think it's pretty accessible. It's easy to read, hits the major issues, and I'll critique some things with it as we go along. I did make copies of made PDF copies, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and it's in week 0 or week 1 folder. So in case you don't have the book yet for the first week, but you will need it by the start of second week, because you're going to start, or actually by the start of third week, you will need the book to be able to do the assignments. Okay, so here's basically what we're doing. You have kind of an attendance component, like it's a vital part of the class, being engaged, being present and engaged in our class discussions. We have these weekly assignments that are a review of the lecture as well as the readings. I'll go over that in a minute. Then there's a midterm assessment. It's really not an exam. It's just an opportunity to review, hit the highlights, kind of where we've been, big questions, big ideas. Then there's a case study near the end of the term, application of theories and ideas, and then finally a final exam. So that's major requirements. A little bit of information about all those if you want to read them, all up to you. If you ever have any questions about technology or need help, great resource here. If you have a documented disability, again, great resource. And then also keep me in the loop as you need to. Here's the policy and information about non-discrimination while you are on campus in any sort of way. And that's virtual as well as physical campus. Title IX statement, gender equity, sex equity in terms of your experience here or others on campus. So there's information, and if you have any questions or concerns, contact information. We have counseling services that are available to students. Not everyone knows that. I encourage you, if you ever feel the need for services, just to have a life coach for a period of time, right? This could be a great resource for you. Principles of community, you can check them out here. The general idea is that we have these principles and values that we operate on as a community at the college, and then also within the classroom itself, respecting the dignity of others, creating a healthy, safe, conducive environment for learning for everyone. So communicating a sense of understanding. We can always disagree with each other, but we're focused on disagreeing on the issues versus attacking people or creating a hostile environment for others. So principles of community, how to generate community where people feel safe, security, and engaged and supported in the environment that they're in. We also have safe zones at COCC, particularly for LGBTQ supporters and members that, to know that there are safe spaces on campus, that individuals in the college is committed to making sure that people have an opportunity for safe, secure educational environment. Student insurance, in case you were thinking, you do not get insurance by taking this class. That's just kind of a technical thing that needs to be included in there. And then finally, basic resources. There's some, if you ever have any like food, clothing, shelter, basic living needs, great resource, contact information here. I encourage you to contact them and just to find out more information if they can provide any assistance that would get you in a stable environment, help you become more successful in school. Rock on, reach out to them. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can let me know. Academic honesty is really important. All the work in this class is written work. Do your own work. Don't take information from other sources and just put them into a document and send that document. That'll result in either a 0 or reduced points for an assignment. And then I will have you on my radar screen, and then I'll be looking, I can sniff stuff out. It's easy to tell, plus turn it in, identify stuff that's not a person's original content. So the most important thing is just communicate your understanding. I'm much rather have individuals like struggle with communicating their understanding than taking information from other sources and then putting it there without owning it, without providing proper citation. So basically do your own work. Here's the policies regarding it. If you have any questions, let me know about that. Classroom behavior expectations, just being respecting, participate, be engaged, do not be disruptive to self or others. Be respectful towards me, towards other people in the classroom, challenge each other. It's always good to challenge me, challenge other people, but it's done in a conducive, effective, and supportive, respectful way. All right. So then we go through the course schedule. This is in Blackboard, and I'll show you in a minute. It breaks these down week by week as well. So you can have the syllabus, look it over. I also repeat this in the Blackboard shell. I have a folder for week 1, 2, 3, all the way throughout the course of the term. So you can follow it that way as well. So for this week, you got an article called 3 Sociological Perspectives. The first chapter out of here called, what is deviance? And then a video lecture, Sociology of Deviance. That's due the night before our class meeting. So that's due on Wednesday. Just make sure, our class meets on Thursday, right? Yeah, so Wednesday, so it's due Wednesday night before class, submit it and turn it in. There's 25% grade deduction if it's late and 0 points for more than a week after the due date. Okay, so that's kind of the policies, review, all that kind of good stuff. All right, rock on, ready for the next step. Let's go. Let's talk about, let's go to our shell here. So here's the class. You can go here to get the syllabus. And then you go to weekly schedule and assignments. Click on here, just a little bit of information you can read. Week 0. Here's basically the reassignment, the requirements for the weekly assignment. I'll open it and kind of go over that in a second. Here's a document on how to access audio or written feedback. At the beginning of the term, I'll provide audio feedback. Well, a combination throughout the course of the term, sometimes audio, sometimes written. And sometimes students have a hard time getting to the audio, but if you do, and I sent you audio and you're not getting it, let me know. I've had students go through a whole term and then I find out at the end of the term that they were never getting the audio feedback. And I spend a lot of time on them. And I mean, not that you need to listen to it for that, but more, I think there's value in the audio feedback. I can provide a lot more depth of information and connect to the material and you in a different way through that feedback mechanism. So if you're having trouble, just let me know as far as connecting with the feedback. Just drop me a line. And then here's additional information on additional resources for you as a student. So there you go. There's that information. All right. So let's look at this weekly assignment. There's that. All right. So here's the weekly assignment requirements. Okay, so it's basically, reviewing information. There's 2 different sections. One is focused on either the textbooks, podcast, like the written content, and the other section is on the videotaped lecture. Always turned in the night before our class meeting, and the point of doing that is so you come to class prepared. Have reviewed main ideas and perspectives. So our starting point when we come to class is much higher level starting point than if we were meeting in class 2 days a week. The first day kind of going over content, the second day, maybe more what we're going to be doing in the classroom. So help ensure that you are prepared and ready to go. The assignments due the night before of our class meeting. So pace yourself, right? Pace yourself in terms of written assignment. Do not avoid starting in it the night of. I think that's a recipe for disaster, stress, anxiety. Spread it out. You got 2 readings this week. That's 3 sociological perspectives, and then chapter 1. Do one of them one day, do the other one the next day, and then get into the lecture, break it down theme by theme. Just spread it out. Whatever works for you, but I'm just trying to provide you a strategy, a different way of approaching it. All right. So the first section is a review of the content, reading, podcast, or supplemental information. So for this section, I provide you specific questions, and I'll share with you the week 1 assignment, and you'll see what I mean. So I provide very specific questions that you need to respond to. Good responses or quality responses are ones that are sufficiently detailed, so they give enough information to be able to explain to provide a response, and they're succinct enough. So detailed, but not like just blah, 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 right? So it's succinct to the point. So it's accurate, detailed, but to the point. And the questions range. Some of them require a lot more information, some a little bit more straightforward. Just think about communicating, understanding, depth of information, and clarity of information that you're presented. If there's more than one reading, break it down into like reading 1, like column A, here's the section. Henry, social deviance, here's the section, and then video lecture, here's the section. Easier for me to keep track of, as well as for you to keep track of as well. Again, put things in your own words, your own understanding. Sometimes, go consult another resource. That's great. Go consult other sources. Look that information over, but always put things in your own words. I would say rarely, if ever, to use a quotation in this class. If you do use a quotation from a source, a direct quotation, put it in quotation marks, and then put the author's name and year next to it. But just put it all in your own words. I'm interested in your understanding, not in repeating somebody else's understanding. And then section 2 is focused on the videotaped lecture. So most weeks I provide a video lecture. They're all on YouTube. Some of them, I break them down into themes. There's usually 4 to 8 themes per lecture, and you need to address each theme in your written assignment. Quality summaries are ones that demonstrate understanding of the theme. So being able to define, explain the theme, and then providing specific information that's discussed in the lecture to support your explanation of the theme itself. So the themes, I think they really help you in reviewing information and help you to become more well prepared for our class meetings. These summaries are about reviewing and summarizing, not about personal opinions and reactions. So you can provide your critique or your personal perspective in class, but in these assignments, focus on communicating understanding. I mean, I'm trying to assess your understanding, and that's the focus of these assignments. Put the word count for these are 75 to 125 for each theme. If you go a little bit over, that's fine. Put the word count after each theme. So theme number 1, do the work of summarizing your understanding of theme 1, incorporating specific information to be able to substantiate your understanding, and then put the word count after it. Move on to theme 2, do the same word count, theme 3, etc. And again, here's just strategy, pace yourself. Don't do it all in one day. Spread it out. Okay, so here's week 1 assignments. If I'm going to go here, here's week 0, right? This is all stuff in week 0. Now I'm going to go into week 1. Here's the requirements. Okay, read chapter 1 out of the book, read 3 sociological perspectives, watch the videotaped lecture, complete the assignment. That's the focus, right? Click on week 1 folder. Here we go. Here's the articles. Or here's the article, 3 sociological perspectives. Here's chapter 1 and 2 out of the textbook. Chapter 1 will cover this week, chapter 2 next week. So, starting on week 3, you definitely have to have the textbook for the class. Pair up with someone if you need to, and see if you can borrow the book and make a copy of it, in some, if you could go that route. Here's week 1 assignment. Here's the PowerPoint for the lecture. Once I get the lecture done, I'll put it in here so you can have that. Sometimes I'll put some different videos just for if you want to watch them. They can be helpful and valuable to you in terms of getting, just another perspective, more information, different, just the content, somebody else explaining part of it, right? So those could be helpful for you. Sometimes I put videos in there that you have to watch, and when I do that, I will let you know. Okay, so here's the assignment for week 1. Again, as you can see, it's really important to me, like, use your own words, because I ran into a problem like last term. I think that's why I'm putting it in so many times. Right, a student, I worked with him a lot. He struggled for a few different reasons, and he was just unintentionally, I really believe he didn't understand the difference between his own work. I mean, it sounds kind of odd. He understood the difference, but he was trying to do the certain kind of job in terms of his written work that he put so much pressure on trying to carry the exact wording, like precision, that it got in the way of just like, hey, just communicate your understanding. One way to think about this is just speaking to a microphone, like go through your response, do word to text, right? Or voice to text, and just speak out your response. And then you could look at it and then review it. So don't just send that in, because then that could have all kinds of grammar problems. But anyway, just think about you're having a conversation. Try not to sort of make it more difficult than that. Okay, so here's the section 1, the 2 different readings. Here's the questions to answer or the statements to go through for that article. Basically, define, explain interactionism, functionalism, conflict theory, and then in a few sentences, explain the value of using theory to understand the social world. Okay, that's boom, header, 3 sociological perspectives, go through all 4 of those. Header, social deviance, chapter 1, what is deviance, and go through all 7 of these questions. And then section 2, so in your paper, section 2, lecture, go through each theme, summarize each theme, and we already kind of talked about this, just quality of information, summarize the big idea, and then incorporate specific ideas to help substantiate or clarify your understanding. 75 to 125 for each theme, put in the word count for each, turn them in before the start of class. Oh, one more thing is that sometimes Safari and Blackboard do not interact well. So Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox are the recommended browsers. So keep that in mind if you run into a problem submitting information. Yeah. And then where to go to submit information. We should talk about that. Let's see here. One more second. Oh, hold on. Okay, so in week 1 folder, here's the folder, right? Weekly schedule. Here's weekly schedules and assignments. Boom. Here's week. I'm going to click on week 1. Here's all the stuff. Here's where you go to submit the document. It has to be in, I believe it can be a Microsoft Word. It can be a doc document, I believe. I'm not certain about that. And it can be a PDF document. There may be a couple of others, but you'll discover when you go to submit it. This is where you go to submit the assignment. If for some reason you run into a problem the first week, email me before the start of class so you don't lose points for the assignment. And then we can figure it out as far as making sure you can submit the assignment. Okay. So that is it. Welcome to class. Look forward to talking with you throughout the course of the term about sociology of deviance. It is a mind-blowing class. I think it opens up a lot of perspectives, a lot of, it opens up a just whole lot of stuff, a lot of questions, and you'll probably leave the class at the end of the term actually with more questions than you did when you started the course of the term. And I think that's a healthy and a good thing. It's not that you're more confused, but you're realizing that the world is much more, the complexities of the world and the questions that we need to ask about the world or that are important to ask about the world help to sort of bring that out more. So welcome to class. Drop me an email if you got any questions. Stop by my office. I'll see you in class. Best wishes and have a good rest of your day.